For me, it starts back in my childhood. I'm what I call a child of the civil rights movement. I was born in 1955. And my mother and father were custodial workers. And one of the stories that has shaped my life has been a story about my mother, who was a maid, and she worked for a doctor, a white medical doctor in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And just so happens the day that Dr. King got killed, my mother lost her job, and they were both connected. She was vacuuming the house of her boss when the news came on the TV that Dr. King had been shot and had died in Memphis. And so my mother became emotional, started to cry, and sat down on the couch. And just so happens right about that time, her boss walks in. My mother had worked for these people for over 15 years, had raised their children, cooked for them, cleaned their house and everything. And the doctor's wife asked my mom why she was crying, and she told them that Dr. King had been shot and killed. The doctor's wife said to my mom that as far as she was concerned, and people like her, that the world would be a better place now that Dr. King was killed, or as she said, dead. My mother, being upset, asked her boss if she could leave and go home for the rest of the day. And her boss, who up until then had praised my mother and considered her just as part of the family almost, told her that if she took off, she would have no job to come back to. And my mother, this was her only job at that time. And for her to have the courage that she did to take off her apron and give it to her boss and leave, knowing that she would not have a job, to me has been one of the most inspiring things in my life, that she stood up for what she believed in. But that has always shaped my belief in justice and in worker justice, seeing both my mother and father be mistreated, not be paid a living wage, and then having to live or work in what I considered inhumane conditions. So that's kind of where my love for workers' rights and justice comes from.